What is up, my friends? It is Friday night. Your weekend has now officially started. It is a pleasure to be here with you. Quick glance down just to make sure we're not still on mute. I hope we're all in good form. Tonight, let me just say from the bat, is going to be a pretty explosive stream. I'm not talking about any YouTuber beef or revelations. I'm talking about our football club and how we are where we are at with regards to who's in what positions and how the club is being ran. I'm going to do my best to explain it all to you as clearly, as honestly and as straightforwardly as I can over the next, who knows how long we're on for. But I want to just remind everybody of a couple of quick things while we get underway. Firstly, don't forget we won't have any live content going out tomorrow, so there will be a preview for the game against Villa and a couple of other videos probably as well. Also, don't forget about the Cardiff show and the Belfast show, which are currently on sale. You'll find links to both in the description. Thank you to everyone who's bought tickets so far. They're shaping up to be two great nights, and we very much can't wait to come and have some fun with you. So, where do we start today? Well, I'm going to start in my chronological order of how I put my notes together for the show. So let's start off with a little bit of news about Nico Williams. Hang on, I just have to remove somebody from the chat. 1 second. There we go. Sorry. So there was a post yesterday from a guy, Sean DOLFC, speaking about Nico Williams at Bilbao. And the post makes absolute sense, but it still shocked me nonetheless. This is what he had to say, and probably one of the reasons why we won't see Nico Williams coming to Liverpool. Just heard that Nico Williams is on £250,000 a week at Bilbao because none of their revenue goes on transfer fees. Of course, we know Athletic Club Bilbao like Basque players, sign Basque players, so they can spend a lot of their revenue on wages. Wow. If that's true and Nico Williams is on that much money, I would suggest it's going to be very difficult for him to get a move away. Because coming in looking for 250 G's, if that's what you're currently on, that's like Virgil van Dijk money. So yeah, that surprised me. But I also never really joined the dots there for Athletic Club's possible ability to spend a lot of their revenue just on those wages, because of course they don't really pay all that many transfer fees. So that was an interesting one just to kick us off with tonight. The big breaking news of the day is, of course, that Julian Ward is coming back to Liverpool Football Club. We'll go through that, give you guys an explanation of how we got to this point. He also turned down the advances of Ineos, apparently, who wanted him to come there and work with them, but Michael Edwards stepped in and made sure that he came back to Liverpool. So we're going to go through all of that. We're going to give you an update from Klopp's press conference. We also got the confirmation that Kylian Mbappe will be departing PSG at the end of the season. No real surprises there. He said his last game is going to be on Sunday. We'll talk a little bit about Xavi Simons, a little bit about the problems that Ajax are facing, a little bit on Darwin Nunez, and of course the big bombshells that I told you that I would be going through over the course of the next couple of hours. So that's where I'm at. Now it's over to you guys, and let me know what your thoughts are about the day's event so far and what subject you'd like me to tackle first. And I hope you all have a lovely day, by the way. I hope you have a cracking weekend ahead of you. The sun is glorious where I'm at the minute in Wexford. So, yeah, life feels good when the weather's good. Right, so Real Madrid going to be unbelievable. They are, Alex. I've got to ask, like, how they can afford it all. Now, I'm not trying to say they've done that and dodgy, but if you've got Kylian Mbappe coming in and going to make him your highest paid ever player, you've got Bellingham there, you've got Endrick coming in, Vinicius Jr., you've got Rodrigo, of course, on the other side, probably Alphonso Davies coming in, a lot of money going out there. So it will be interesting to hear what fee is going to be involved weekly for Kylian Mbappe, if of course he goes where we all expect him to, which is Real Madrid. Right, so all this stuff about Julian Ward, I don't really pay much attention to it for some reason. Well, you should do, because it's quite important, and I'll do my best to explain it to you, as I said, over the next while. I'm nervous for our next game, said Fidget. Well, you're a Chelsea fan, mate, so, you know, I don't blame you for being nervous. I'd feel more confident if I was you than I had in recent weeks, mate, because your team's starting to put out some decent results. And European football is within touching distance, so, you know, I definitely feel like you should be a bit happier. Also, it was Ben's birthday yesterday, so a belated happy birthday to Ben. Ben wasn't working yesterday, we gave him the day off because it was his birthday, but I'm sure you guys would like to wish Ben a happy birthday as well. Right, so where to start with all of this? So let's start in some chronological order. The news broke earlier on that indeed we would see a return for Julian Ward to Liverpool Football Club. The first post that came out about it was from James Pearce, who of course wrote a full story for The Athletic, said Michael Edwards has brought back former Liverpool sporting director Julian Ward as FSG's new technical director. Edwards has also appointed Benfica's Pedro Marques as FSG's Director of Football Development. Now, I told you guys 2 months ago that Marques was going to be coming in from Benfica, but there's a little bit more to come from this. Julian Ward will be tasked with overseeing player development. His wide range of responsibilities will include oversight of the academy, FSG's loan department, group-wide elite player development strategies, and the establishment of an innovation department. So these are all things that we can expect now that Michael Edwards is starting to put the band back together. And I'm all for it. I've spoken about this a few times, and I'm going to try to give you more detail on it tonight. But it definitely seems as if there was a falling out, a difference of opinion between Michael Edwards and Jurgen Klopp. I'm going to try and shed some light on that tonight based off people who are far more in tune to this than me and their viewpoints on it. So I'm going to try to take you through it as the stream goes on. But that's good news, first and foremost. So we do know Julian Ward is coming back. Now on Julian Ward, there is a little bit more on this. Where's this one? He did turn down the advances of Ineos, who wanted to bring him in there. So basically Fabrizio Romano was posted to say that this is what Liverpool's structure for the new era is going to look like. Michael Edwards as the new CEO of football for FSG, Richard Hughes, sporting director, and then Julian Ward, technical director. Pedro Marques will be the director of football. And also, another really important post from Fabrizio to say all documents are also signed for Arne Slot as the new head coach. So confirmation that all the paperwork has now been signed, and we will await, of course, the official announcement. So let's get to Harry's super chat. Thank you, Harry. I was debating with lads from school, Alonso versus Rodri, who's better, and it's mental how many kids go from United and Chelsea fans to City fans and lie. Who's better? Look, very different. Very different types of players. And all I will say to you is this. If you had either Xabi Alonso or Rodri in your midfield, you're not going to be too unhappy. I actually think it's criminal that Rodri isn't up for player of the season, sorry. I think it's criminal. I think he's, without a doubt, been one of the standout performers in the Premier League this campaign. And to see him not make the final 8, I just think it's madness, quite honestly. But yeah, very different types of midfielders. Exciting times ahead with Hughes, Edwards and Ward. Happy days, said Alex Macklin. Slot next week as well, as what he said. Thank you, Craig, for the correct use of belated happy birthday. I still see so many people messaging happy belated birthday. It shouldn't irk me as much, but it does. Well, look, Mark, I won't lie to you, mate. I'm not the greatest with grammar. Maybe I got a little bit lucky on that one, dude. But I'm glad I got it right anyway. There you go. So thank you for that. We need Bowen. I wouldn't say no, but you know, based off what their valuation of Jared Bowen has been at about 100 million quid, I don't see it happening. So look, we'll talk about the structure, we'll talk about how we got here, and when the chat gets to its peak, which usually happens in about 15 or 20 minutes time, I'll break through the story that seems to be fairly common now, or commonplace to talk about. So I've waited about this for quite a while because, you know, you hear things, but I wait for people far better connected than me. And there are many. And I'm going to try and piece it all together for you today. But it does look like it's not a coincidence. And I have to say, as soon as I seen the announcement today that Julian Ward was coming back to Liverpool, I couldn't help but feel there must have been disagreements with Klopp. I don't believe in coincidences. I just don't. And it's no coincidence to me that when Jurgen announced he was leaving, that suddenly we see Michael Edwards, Julian Ward coming back into the fold at the football club. Now, I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, and I'm not trying to say who's right and who's wrong, because truth is, I don't know. I haven't been involved in these conversations. And disagreements between your vision for a football club or the direction you want to go, they're commonplace. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're asking me which side of this I think history will be on the right side of, I always feel like I believe in Edwards. Now, of course, I love Jurgen, but I want to try and point out that I'm trying to separate Jurgen the coach, Jurgen the manager, versus Jurgen the transfer target specialist. I do feel our transfers have been a little bit scattergun since Michael Edwards departed. I'm very much of the belief that Michael Edwards will get us cracking in the right direction again with the right type of data-driven transfers, obviously with some scout knowledge on top of it. So I have to say that's the side I'm on. Now, I love Jurgen. It's nothing to do with his coaching ability. Brian, thank you so much, mate, for another incredibly generous super chat. I have to believe that FSG must have assured Edwards that funds will be available to do what he wants to do, or he wouldn't have returned. Delusional? So, not just the funds, Brian, and I do think there will be pretty significant funds there. I think it's the control. And as we go through tonight, and I sent you these messages already, so you know where I'm going with this stream tonight. It does feel like that's been the case, that Edwards has been given the assurances that he wants to come back into the role. And again, thank you so much, Brian. You're incredibly generous. What did Julian Ward do for Liverpool? So he was the sporting director after Michael Edwards left, but he didn't last very long. Julian Ward came in and departed, if my memory's right, within around 6 months or so of taking up the job. The announcement was there that he would be departing, and then Liverpool went out and brought George Schmadtke in. And George Schmadtke worked alongside Jurgen Klopp and the rest of the recruitment team to go through Liverpool's transfers. A lot of the signings, I don't believe, would have happened if Michael Edwards was still at the club. And I would include Darwin Nunez in that, for good or bad. Again, I'm not making a judgment on whether I think Darwin is going to work out or not here. I'm talking about, I can see a very clear difference in strategy from when Edwards departed versus when Klopp seemed to get more freedom to make transfer decisions. Did we have the Bellingham money? There's something that I can't talk about regarding the Bellingham situation on a stream. I can't do it. It'll get me in too much trouble. So these are the type of things, Evie. Remember I said before, we don't record our shows when we do a live show, because there are things we talk about at live events that we can't talk about on a stream. You can put that as one of the categories of things that we could talk about in Belfast or Cardiff or Liverpool, but not on a stream. With all of these people returning, I would suggest that the pressure on an early exit was put on Klopp. FSG clearly wanted these people back. I don't know the answer to that, and I'm not pawning you off, Dave. Truly, I don't know what happened there. All I know about Klopp's departure was that the whole announcement of it felt a bit rushed. But that could obviously be because maybe there was a leak coming from that. But I think by the end of tonight, when I read out some stuff to you that has been publicly posted, by the way, so you can go and look at this yourself, but it certainly confirmed some of my own suspicions over the last season or two. Did you see Mbappe leaving Paris? Madrid are going to be forced to be reckoned with. Oh, mate, Madrid are going to be ridiculous. You know, that squad they're putting together is crazy. I can't say anything else to it. So, Madrid are ruthless in their transfer business. But there's another word I'd use. Efficient. They don't mess about. They go in, they need a position filled, they go and get the best for that position, end the conversation. you got to give them the credit on that one. We can talk about money, how they get there and all this, but they, more often than not, are pretty efficient in how they go about their transfers. Klopp was FSG's meal ticket. I doubt they wanted him to leave. Again, I don't know. I'm not going to try and figure out why Klopp decided to leave or not. As I said, I've always been more than willing to take Jurgen at his word that he just doesn't have the energy to carry on with it anymore. Maybe if he writes a book in the future, we find out differently. But for now, I'm certainly not going to be trying to undermine Jurgen in that regard. I believe him and take him at face value. What about the story of Darwin Nunez? Okay, well, let's start on that. So thank you for bringing that up. I will talk about Darwin Nunez now. So, a couple of things on Darwin. Let's start off with some quotes from Jurgen Klopp on Darwin Nunez first. Credit to LFC Transfer Room, who transcribed some of these quotes in the press conference and posted them. So, speaking about Nunez, Klopp said, he was unlucky in so many situations, really tough for a young man. He has big expectations on himself. His problem is that he's so good, he's constantly in these moments. And that's kind of true, what Jurgen said, and Darwin did look all smiles today in his in the training photographs. You may have noticed there were some people missing from those photographs. Robertson and Jota were two of them. Don't know what that means with regard to the game on Monday, but there was 4 first-team players, I believe, missing from the training pictures. Jurgen Klopp was also speaking about Harvey Elliott, and don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the rest of the Darwin story. Going to go there in a second. But Klopp, speaking about Elliott, said something that I genuinely admire him for saying. He said, if I regret anything, it's that Harvey didn't play often enough. And I think that's very honest of Jurgen to say. So, right, let's get into the story about Darwin Nunez. So, again, our friends at LFC Transfer Room posted this and said, Radio Felix journalist Nicholas Saavedra was quoted as saying this: Darwin Nunez's value has risen in recent years, and Liverpool will not sell him for less than €85 million. Nunez is not urgently thinking about an exit. His priority at the moment is the Copa America. Well, again, Darwin didn't say this, so I've got to take that with a pinch of salt, but his priority should be the last damn games for Liverpool this season, and then he can worry about the Copa America. But I wanted to get your thoughts on the €85 million figure. So I'm going to ask, if Darwin was to leave Liverpool, and again, I'm not wishing him away, but we can't ignore the amount of stories out there. I want to ask you, do you think that would be enough money? Would you be happy with recouping that fee? One sec. Right, I'm going to say, would you be happy if we sold Darwin for €85 million? And we'll leave that with you guys to vote away on while I carry on with the remainder of this news. Xavi Simons. So we told you guys the news that Xavi Simons could be available in this transfer window. Well, there now is confirmation that indeed he won't be going back to PSG. Transfer sector have posted, quoting Fabrizio Romano, to say Manchester United and Arsenal were really pushing behind the scenes to sign Xavi Simons a year ago when he was at PSV Eindhoven. The other stories today are, again, from Fabrice Hawkins this time, who said, breaking, Xavi Simons will not continue at PSG. Leipzig are negotiating for his transfer and Premier League clubs are also interested. Again, there's no specific mention of Liverpool there. I bring up Xavi Simons because I think a lot of you guys are fans and often say to me that you'd very much like him at Liverpool. Now, on Ajax, a little bit there from David Ornstein, who said Ajax players like Jordan Henderson and Stephen Bergwijn face uncertain futures due to the financial problems incurred by missing the Champions League and Europa League football next season. Neither Ajax nor the players want to part ways, but among top earners, so must be considered. So maybe Henderson has a problem in his hands there again, needing to find another club. So before I try to tie together the Michael Edwards, the Richard Hughes, the Julian Ward and the Jurgen Klopp situation, I just want to give you a few little updates from Arne Slot, who was speaking about becoming the Liverpool coach. He said, there are sometimes some things attached that a combination of factors means it hasn't been communicated yet. But don't worry, that will undoubtedly happen. It'll be a matter of days. Things like this take a bit more than just going to the shop with a shopping list and ticking off the groceries. These are things that have to be timed out properly and everything has to be worked out. So if you add that to the confirmation that we got from Fabrizio Romano earlier, that all the paperwork has now officially been signed for Arne Slot to become the next Liverpool coach, we can take it there that it is going to be just a matter of days and the timing of the announcement. Again, the clubs involved will want to be respectful to their own clubs, to Jurgen, and of course to the situation both clubs are in. So I don't know when exactly we will get the official confirmation of Arne Slot. Craig, I'll sell him for 60 million, said Staranova with regards to Darwin. Coach Bill said, deep down, I want to see Carvalho back playing for us next season. I want Slot to have a chance to enable players like Nunez and Diaz, said Ragnar. I don't blame you, mate. I don't blame you at all. From what I've been able to read and find out over the last 3 days, publicly, it feels like the most likely departure, if we were to sell a forward, would probably be Diaz. I still have my doubts on the Salah situation, knowing the way that Michael Edwards apparently likes to operate, but we'll talk about that in a while. But certainly what's been reported, a lot of journalists saying that the most vulnerable, shall we say, would be Diaz because of links with Barcelona and PSG. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Personally, I'm okay if we sell Diaz for the right money. If it gets reinvested and you've got Cody Gakpo there as well, I'm okay with it. I wouldn't be going out of my way to look to move him on. But like I've told you guys consistently, if you don't want to be at Liverpool Football Club, find a way out. Because, you know, we want people who are going to be here and want to be here and don't think of us as a stepping stone. So for me, nothing personal about it, but if he's unhappy in any way, find a club to buy it and off you pop. LFC Cal said, part of me thinks Nunez could still become a monster if he gets his head on straight. Absolutely. I think even the people who doubt Darwin, and look, it's fair to say that there's a few, I think even those people would say that the potential is there for Darwin to be incredible. But I guess the very fair question is, how long is long enough to wait? You know, how long do you give somebody... Some people will argue, hang on, we've seen enough. The goals and assists this season, the chance creation, that's enough. Others will argue, nonsense, should have scored more goals. You know, we're fans. These are all opinions. Fair enough. And I agree with you. I think, you know, what I'd hate to happen, LFC Cal, is let's say we sold him to... pick a team, doesn't matter, let's say Barca in this instance, and then he goes and scores 35 goals in La Liga next season. You got to say, I'd feel pretty crap about that. I'd feel like we made the wrong decision. But again, there's no guarantees that that would happen either. Is it true that he's seeing a shrink? No idea. No idea, Mart. But I would, in his position, you know, if I was a sports athlete at any level, I'd look to work with a sports psychologist, because I know my own mindset and personality, and I know I'd probably benefit from that. Giant Gift said, Darwin's potential is high, incredibly hard to mark. However, I don't think he'll be much better next season. DJ Brain said, I would give Nunez another season before we sell him. So would I. Mate, I'd certainly fall into that category as well. Jackson or Nunez? Darwin. Easy. There's no way I'd take Nicholas Jackson over Darwin. Excuse me. No way. Robbie Salmon said, to be honest, Nunez has cost Liverpool a lot of goals. I rather see a striker get in that knows where the goal is. And again, I can't argue against that, mate. I can't push back. But others may say a lot of the chances he's missed, other forwards wouldn't have been able to create. Darwin's specific skill set and physical presence have probably created some of those chances for him. I think, look, I've always tried to be honest and fair about this and say, I understand everyone's viewpoint on this. It's very easy to see why people would believe in the kid, and it's easy to see why others would get frustrated. It's none of you are making up reasons, there's very valid reasons on either side of that debate. Right, so I'm going to try and piece this together as fairly as I can, what I'm about to say over the next few minutes. Before I do that, just want to say and give a congratulations to Craig Houlden, who signed a new long-term contract at Liverpool Football Club. Congratulations, Craig. Can't wait to see what he brings to the table. Hope his injury problems are behind him. He looks like a very talented player whenever he's on the pitch, and it's great news to see that he signed a new long-term contract at the football club. So congratulations to Craig Houlden. Am I nervous for next season? Edwards, new staff, slot. I'm nervous, but I'm also optimistic, mate. By nature, I'm optimistic about these things. But yeah, of course, nervous. Reports out there said his manager is pushing for a move. Surely Nunez would have a say in that. Yeah, there were reports, and we talked about them the other day, Stevie boy, that George Mendes, who runs the Gestifew agency and represents Darwin as well as Diogo Jota, used to represent Fabinho, maybe still does, but represented him when he was at Liverpool. There was a report that the agent offered him to Barcelona. Now, again, I have to say report because I don't know it to be a concrete fact, but it was mentioned in the Spanish media. Right, so let's start off with this, and then we'll go through the story. It is understood that Julian Ward was considering a global technical director role at Ineos Football Group, but he was then approached by Edwards and was convinced to return. That was posted by Paul Joyce. The next few things I'm going to read out are, how old are they? Some of them a little bit old, some of them posted today. But let me just say that the person who tweeted these, a guy called Raj Chauhan, in my opinion, is an extremely credible, extremely well-connected, and an extremely intelligent man. And a lot of the stuff that I'm going to read out to you now has been posted by him over the course of time in recent weeks. And I want to bring it to you because I think it gives a good picture of how maybe we ended up where we are here with Edwards back, with Hughes in, with Julian Ward back. I think this ties it all together. So the first post from today was somebody else posting to say, did Klopp and Edwards fall out over signings at any point? And then somebody tagged Raj in and said, can you give information? He then said, yes, and the first falling out came from Linders mocking Edwards on one of his transfer decisions, which turned out to be spot on. So, according to this story, it was actually not so much Jurgen Klopp initially, but Michael Edwards was mocked or undermined by Pep Linders over one of the signings that turned out to be a good signing in the longer term. Now, a post that Raj put up a few days ago said, Mike, and again, these are all publicly there for you to look at, so the only reason I'm talking about these is because they were posted on a public forum, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under a bus, and again, I have incredible respect for Raj. Michael Edwards wanted to run Liverpool using many of the concepts that Florentino Perez uses to run Real Madrid before his power was ousted, selling older players at the right time, scouting players from non-EU areas, buying many young talents ready to succeed the senior squad members, recruiting dominant athletic profiles. This time, he has more power akin to what Florentino Perez has at Real Madrid, and it will be intriguing to see how his vision is implemented fully. Going back again, somebody else posted, Madrid also study how players' personality to see how they would fit into the dressing room and social groups within the squad. The Brazilian and French players being friends. Mbappe already seen hanging out with Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo, and Endrick, Yoro potentially all probably fit. Raj replied to that to say, yep, and Edwards does this also. This next bit is kind of mind-blowing. He actually went to the same hotel as Klopp before he was appointed and spied on his interactions with people. Think about that. But I'm not finished. Another post said, that's what I've been told about why Amorim didn't get the job. He wouldn't submit completely to Edwards' demands, even though he was the preferred coach. Slot will do what he is told by Edwards, Liverpool trying to build Real Madrid model where Edwards controls everything like Florentino Perez. So, apparently according to Raj, Ruben Amorim was the preferred choice but wouldn't bow down to everything that Michael Edwards wanted him to. He was happy to come in and be a coach, according to another post, but I mean, a lot to unpack there, right? From the falling out between Linders and Michael Edwards initially, that started the cracks apparently, to Michael Edwards even spying on Klopp at the hotel before Klopp came to Liverpool, and lots of other bits and pieces there that, as I say, this guy's not a shit stirrer. Another one said, Klopp asked for a new number 8. Original plan was Zielinski, who went to Napoli instead of an alternative plan which was needed. Edwards and his team profiled the concept of Wijnaldum as a number 8 to Klopp. The rest is history. This special ability to conceptualise players is part of why Edwards is back. So for me, I place extreme faith in Michael Edwards, and I am very much happy that Michael Edwards is back at the club. I don't like to hear of any fallouts or disagreements behind the scenes. I love Jurgen Klopp. But when it comes to transfers and transfer activity, I have to say, for me, Michael Edwards has been incredibly good, incredibly efficient, and his success rate has been quite impressive. So I'm expecting an interesting summer. Remember when I told you guys a few weeks ago that I'd be astonished, despite all the public talking about Salah staying or Liverpool letting him run down and leave on a free. I'll be astonished if 1, Salah isn't sold this summer, and 2, if they let him run down his contract. Nothing about the way Michael Edwards has operated in the past suggests to me that he's going to be one for giving out contracts to players who he thinks are past their peak. Maybe there's an exception for Mo, because when we are talking about Mo, we're talking about one of the greatest success stories of Liverpool's transfer history. Somebody who's rewritten the record books and somebody who has been incredibly good for the football club. So maybe there is a chance. But if you look at his body of work, Michael Edwards, I don't know. I'm not hopeful that we see Salah here next season. And that's why I've said to you guys for quite a while that the contractual situation makes me feel like, despite what's been said in the media, I don't feel confident that that's going to be the case. But let's wait and see how it works out. Slot won't be a yes man. Well, apparently he will. Again, I wasn't in these meetings, so I don't know. And there's nothing wrong with a coach coming in to be a coach. That's what he's there for. I said this as well before. For me, the idea of whoever the next coach was coming in and being a head coach is the right idea. I don't like the idea in the modern football world of managers having this scope to sort out all the transfers, because football's an all-encompassing job between coaching, academy stuff, setting out your plans, talking with your players. There's a lot to get in there, and the managers only have so many hours. So for me, no problem with a sporting director being the one who looks after incomings and outgoings and protects the footballing structure of the club and the way that we play from youth level right the way through. I've no issues with that. And I'm sure if Arne Slot comes in and has success and proves himself as a coach, a motivator and a leader, I'm sure that his stature within the club will be recognised and he will grow into that. So I'm not trying to say that he's some shrinking violet who's going to come in and just be on a leash and do everything he's told. No. But he's walking in and he's happy with the situation he's walking into. That's basically the way I'd summarise it. Mary said, I think it's a disgrace all these digs coming out about Klopp in the papers. 2 games left and they couldn't help themselves. So, honestly, what I've spoken about today, Mary, I wouldn't call any of them digs at Klopp. And I don't know if you're alluding to something else. But for me, it's normal. It's normal operating practice in a football club or in any business. You won't always agree with everybody. But one thing we can say is, this has all been dealt with behind the scenes and not leaked and played out in the media. So, fair enough on that regard. Look, I don't read much crap around Klopp because I don't want to read that negative about the man, really, because I love the man. But I can see that there was a difference. And I've always had a sneaking suspicion there was a difference between the opinions of why Klopp would want the likes of Henderson and Milner extended because of the leadership role in the dressing room and the value put on that versus maybe somebody who just looks at the numbers. I like the ability of Michael Edwards to remove himself from the emotional side of things because that's how I would view the world in this scenario. So for me, I would just naturally as a person go towards backing up whatever the numbers show. To be honest, there are managers more suited to be a coach. Eric Ten Hag is an example. Look, in the modern day, it's very rare that a manager has a lot of power at a football club. You know, Pep Guardiola obviously is one exception. Jurgen Klopp would have been another one. Back in the day, Sir Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, you know, they all had Jose Mourinho. They would have had huge roles at clubs. But in this day and age, the whole idea behind the sporting director system is that a coach is interchangeable. If a coach, for whatever reason, be it they want a new challenge, they're not working well, they fall out or lose the dressing room, the whole idea of the structure is that you can replace the coach, put in a new coach, and the rest of the club doesn't suffer. The philosophy of how you play football, the morals that you hold without the club, none of that changes. It's to decrease the level of chaos when a manager departs. So it's not uncommon. It's more common practice these days in European clubs, and it's coming into English football as well, and I like it. Personally, I think it's a better way of operating. LFC Hot Skull said, Liverpool is way too big for slot in my opinion. We're selling ourselves short. I honestly don't know, mate. I don't know, you know. I'm intrigued to see how he gets on. I'm intrigued to see the transfer business is what really intrigues me this summer, mate. You know, I'm all for Michael Edwards working his magic and finding those, you know, up-and-coming young talents and all, but I don't want us to just be cheap in the market. There's nothing wrong with clever signings, but occasionally you got to do what you got to do. And occasionally you need a Van Dijk. Occasionally you need an Alisson Becker. And it's important for us to know that if those players are needed, that the owners will step up. I have my doubts that they'll step up because I can't change my mind. I think FSG are cheap. The only time they're not cheap is when they're adding value to the business that they own via structural projects, which makes sense for everybody involved. Loads of people threw flowers at them for, they did the main stand. They did the Annie Road end. So, anyone with half a brain should have come in and done those things because it's the right thing to do. It increases the amount of people who get into the stadium. It helps keep the flow of fans coming in. It increases the value of the asset. It's a no-brainer. So I never gave them the credit for that. What I have given them credit for is the appointments they've made at the club. I think they've got those spot on. And to see that when somebody as big as Jurgen is departing the club, but somebody who has brought us so much success and has been the figurehead of the football club, when he departs, they are big shoes to fill. And for me, I love the idea that we've gone out there, Edwards, we've gone out there and brought Ward, the guy from Benfica, and Richard Hughes. It definitely feels like no stone has been left unturned in that regard. I'll give them the credit on that. The Liverpool prophet said FSG wouldn't even back Klopp, the best in the game. What do we have to do for them to be back in slot? See, the thing is though, let's remember, Mohamed Salah's at the football club. Not because Jurgen Klopp wanted him, because he didn't. I'm not saying he didn't want him, but he wanted Brandt. And it was Edwards, and I think it was either Dave Fallows or Barry Hunter, one of the recruitment team, if my memory's right, that said, look, Gaffer, this is the guy. The numbers show this is the guy. And to be fair to Jurgen, he said okay, and the rest is history. So he hasn't always been right either. And let's be honest, a lot of the transfer business under George Schmadtke felt scattergun. Even the thing about Dominic Szoboszlai, that all happened very, 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 very quickly. And who knows how it works out? Probably works out well, because I think Dominic Szoboszlai is a great footballer. But there's no way Michael Edwards goes out and signs with Toro Endo, in my opinion. And a few other signings that we've made, I don't know if they'd be made if Edwards was at the club. DJ Brain said Edwards gave Klopp all the players he requested for all the positions he wanted. Klopp wanted specific players and Edwards gave him the right players. Yes, the whole look, our recruitment in that time was top notch. You know, like Liverpool were known around the world for how efficient and how good we were in the transfer market. Like again, I'm going to point this out. Andy Robertson, £8.5 million. We swapped him for Kevin Stewart, basically. We sold him to Hull for the same money, or maybe $500,000 less, and brought in Robbo. That was an Edward signing. Sometimes there are these genius ideas that come in and happen, and I'm excited because we sit here and we think about Nicolo Barella. We think about Jamal Musiala. We think about Jude Bellingham. As we should. They're great football players. But I think Michael Edwards is trying to find the next Bellingham that isn't known about as well as Bellingham would be. Liverpool never like to get drawn into bidding wars around players. That's one thing over the last 10 years I will say we've consistently avoided, is a bidding war. Whitehammer, how are you, my friend? And thank you for your super chat. Said, Craig, I'm happy to hear all this because I couldn't for the life of me understand the signings in the last year or two. So many square pegs in round holes. Darwin made no sense, either did Gakpo. So for me, Whitehammer, I understood the Darwin signing because I was impressed when he played against us. And I was impressed with the numbers he put up for Benfica that year. But other than that, I hadn't looked into the previous 3 or 4 years, or whether the year he was having with Benfica was an anomaly, which it was. That was the only of his 4 seasons in European football that he had exceeded his XG. Every other campaign he'd fallen below that, and with us he's fallen below it. So they're the type of things that if we look and use the eye test, we can see, oh wow, this guy was really good, this guy's capable of this. But that's why I've got faith in Edwards and Hughes and that team, because when I was making videos in the summertime and I was looking into Michael Edwards' background, and he is not an easy man to find information about other than the obvious stuff. One thing that kept coming through over and over and over and over again is how clever he is, how astute he is, how well he operates, how strategic, how efficient he is, and I'm so happy he's back at the club. Bellingham is really overrated. He would have been awful in Klopp's system. People would have had similar conversations about him like they do about Szoboszlai. So as I've said before, I'll probably talk about it at the Belfast, the Cardiff and the Liverpool shows. The whole story I was told about Bellingham. Can't do it on here for, obvious reasons. But yeah. And again, I can't state categorically that what I was told was 100% true. But the person that told the story isn't somebody that would have a reputation for talking crap. Darwin can't play how Klopp wants technically, said Whitehammer. Edwards wanted Nkunku, said Gumi. See, on Nkunku, I've always said this, the words Paris is my club, once he uttered those words when he was at Leipzig, that was it for me. Because I feel like if Nkunku came in and PSG wanted him back, we have a headache. But I'm sure that would have been taken into consideration by Edwards if he had have gone in that direction. Do you think Szoboszlai would be good as a false nine? No, I don't. Truly, at the moment, I don't know where his best position is. The man himself has said he prefers to play centrally. Others have suggested he's better off the right-hand side. All I can say to you is, I don't know where his best position is going to be, but I do believe in him as a footballer. He signed Naby, lad. Correct. And nobody's trying to say, Gabriel, that every transfer decision will always be right, mate. That was one that did not work out. The way he went about getting the signature was very clever, if you remember the way we got Naby to sign for Liverpool. But you're right, no system is foolproof. Nobody can predict 100% that somebody's going to be a success or not. But you can, to some extent, mitigate those risks by making sure that you leave no stone unturned. As an example, I'm going to go back to one of these posts that somebody posted that Raj replied to, who said, Madrid also study the player's personality to see how they would fit in with the dressing room and social groups within the squad. These are things that are incredibly important as well. And I certainly know when Liverpool have made signings over the years, these are the type of things that they've looked into. They look into a player's personal life. I remember a really, really good piece from Melissa Reddy. I don't know if she was still writing for Goal at that point, or I don't know what outlet she was with, but she wrote a really good piece on how Liverpool scouted Bobby Firmino and how they not only looked at Bobby Firmino playing home, playing away, they looked at him in different weather environments, they looked at how he reacted when the team were behind and ahead, and all of these other things that speak to his character and the profile of person that you'd be getting on the pitch. And I'm sure that there are way more complicated aspects than that as well. So yeah, if you're going to invest tens of millions of pounds into an athlete, I don't blame them for wanting as much information as they can. Like, there was some stories in years gone by that Alex Ferguson always liked his players to be settled down with families because he thought less clubbing, less out, less partying, more focused. I'm late. Is it true Mbappe not going to Real? No idea, Alex. Not got a clue. All he said today was he's leaving PSG and that he'll be leaving France for his next move. Craig, Sadio Mane or Darwin Nunez? Sadio Mane. That front three, Sadio, Mo, Bobby, incredible. Giant Gift said, Szoboszlai is an 8 and can play wide right as an attacking midfielder. His direct comparison start and should end or will be with Gravenberch. How did Edwards get Naby? So, if you remember the Naby transfer, we were creative about it. We let him stay there for the season, but the fee that Liverpool paid for Naby was based on where Leipzig finished in the league and which European competition they got into. It got higher as they got closer to the Champions League. Now, there's a few other little bits and pieces in there, but that's the short version of how we signed him. Colin, how are you, dude? Thank you so much for joining us again. Said, evening, Craig. Just joined. Stoked about Julian Ward returning. Any other important news I've missed? Yes. Fabrizio Romano confirmed that all the paperwork has been signed for Arne Slot and that, that's it really, that all the paperwork has been signed, so we don't know when the official announcement will come. We asked, would you be happy if we sold Darwin Nunez for €85 million? We asked that question half an hour ago, and with 1,250 votes pretty much, you guys have said, and this is not the answer I was expecting, 65% of you guys said that you would sell Darwin Nunez if an offer of €85 million, which is about, I think, £78 million, was put down on the table. That's interesting. Mark said, Fabrizio said, it's Real Madrid and it'll be confirmed after the Champions League final with regards to Mbappe. Look, we all know it's going to be Real Madrid there. If Nunez leaves, we'll see a drop in Liverpool's performance. I don't think you can really make that statement. And again, this is not me having a go with you. Because we don't know if Nunez leaves what the attack will look like. So you can't say we'll have a drop-off. Because let's say you're right and he leaves. Well, what if we brought in somebody who hit the ground running and played really well? The drop-off doesn't happen. So, but I get where you're coming from. I'm not trying to be rude. Craig, Barnes or Mane? Barnes. Probably Barnes. And also, when you look back in hindsight, you tend to almost enhance how much you love and appreciate a player. So, you know, when I think back to John Barnes, I think of a magician. You know, I think of these unbelievably powerful legs and this guy who can just go past anybody, pace, power, all of it, everything. And I'm sure maybe in 10, 15 years' time, someone will say to me, Craig, Mane, or I don't know, whoever the winger is then, and I'll have this super admiration back for Mane, where I think of him of how I think of John Barnes now, you know. And they're both brilliant, to be fair. People are acting like Nunez is the only reason we couldn't win the league. Are they? I know we all don't have to agree on everything, but I think sometimes we exaggerate. Particularly when it comes to our thoughts on our fellow fans. I think every side of this Darwin debate has credibility. It's one of the few debates that I think it does. Can you honestly say, if you're a Darwin Nunez fan and a super fan and love him, can you honestly say with a clear conscience that you can't at least have empathy with somebody who feels he's missed a load of sitters and that he could have done a bit more? And to flip that, if you're somebody who wants him out of the club and thinks he can do no good, you've got to also admit that he's put up the same numbers as Vinicius Jr. this year, who's tipped to win a Ballon d'Or. So there's truth to both sides of it, and they're all just opinions. And I don't like that we are immediately going to use words about hate or abuse, because Darwin has suffered hate and abuse. Those disgusting messages that he's been DM'd, the threats, that's real hate and abuse. But people are allowed opinions. And I think as fans, sometimes when we disagree with it, we want to go straight to the nuclear option to undermine our fellow fans or to be aggressive towards them. This is a fair conversation, and both sides, I think, have some credible points to make. Would I take Lucho or Vinicius Jr.? Come on now. Vinny Jr. all the way. Definitely. Pranav, how are you, my friend? Said, people are overlooking Diogo Jota. If he can stay fit, he's an elite finisher. Excuse me, dude, I had a bit of a hiccup. Can easily be our first choice forward. So I'm going to give you my honest opinion. Don't disagree with the elite finisher bit. Don't disagree with how good he is. Don't disagree that we shouldn't think about him. But honestly, if I was the coach, I wouldn't want to go into next season relying on him to be fit enough to be the main guy. Because recent history has showed us that he doesn't have that robustness. And I wouldn't want my success or failure to be pinned on somebody who I've got no doubts about the talent, but some genuine concerns about him being available for the amount of games we'd need. That's the way I look at Jota. Great to have him around, But I couldn't pin my hopes on him to be that guy, the number 9 for the season, because I don't think he'll stay fit that long. Henry left Arsenal. Why shouldn't Salah leave us? I don't know. There's no reason. Like, footballers come and go. You know, we grow attached to them. We love them. And they go. It's the cycle of a football club. So there's absolutely no reason why, if Mo doesn't get an offer he wants from Liverpool, that he may not change direction and leave and go elsewhere. I'm absolutely open to that. In fact, I've said this so many times and gotten so much hate for it, but I would sell him. I've said this most of the season. I would sell Mohamed Salah this summer without any hesitation. And it's not because I have an agenda against him. It's not because I don't think that he won't score some goals next year. It's because I think he's getting to 32 and he's got 1 year left on his deal. And this could be a chance for Liverpool to recoup a lot of money. And our owners are cheap. And I would like that money to be spent, because if he stays or he runs down his deal, we won't get that money from the owners. That's my honest, sincere view on it. But when I say that, even explaining it that way, I get, you're a Salah hater, and all this other crap thrown at me. Even though I've explained my reasoning. If Salah had 2 years to go on his deal, I wouldn't be talking about it. I wouldn't be talking about selling him. Salah will stay next season and run his contract down. It's a possibility. It's not a possibility if I was in Michael Edwards' shoes that I'd allow to happen. But it is a possibility. And of course, you know, he's in perfectly within his rights if he'd like to do that. For me, I've got to be honest here, because I'd be a bit ruthless in this situation. If a player said that to me, and let's say for instance, an offer came in from Paris Saint-Germain for £75 million. And Liverpool said, okay, we'll take that £75 million. And Mo turned around and said, no, I'm going to sign for PSG in January, and I'm going to sign on a pre-contract, and I'm going to get that signing on fee, and I'll depart then at the end of next season. For me, if I'm running the football club, he's on the bench for the year. Don't care. Don't care if it costs 350 grand a week. I would put the good of the club ahead of it, even if it meant losing the talents of a player that big. I would make it clear that, you know, we have to do what's best for the club, and best for the club would be to get the transfer fee, not allow him to leave. And another part of that as well is, if a player does run down his contract, let's be honest about this, without all the nonsense conversations, he's not giving 100%. He's not. I wouldn't. You wouldn't. Let's be honest about it. If you know that you're off elsewhere and it's January, February time, and the muscles are a bit sore, or there's a 50-50 challenge there that you could go in for, but you think, if I go in for that and I get injured, that scuppers my next move, because that's your security. So these are all things that I don't think people think about. And you can say people are professionals, and I agree Mo is a thorough professional, but still he's a human. And human traits are human traits, and I don't think anybody running down a deal to leave should get much game time in that last year, because I don't think you're going to get all of them. All that Salah money won't be used on proven right winger like Rodrigo. It'll be used on a rising player like Kubo Adeyemi. Okay, how do I'm not saying you're wrong, but so what? It doesn't all have to be used on a proven right winger. It just has to be used on players that are going to come in and improve the squad overall and work. So if it's an up-and-coming young winger and a centre-back, well, if that money proves to be well spent in the future, it doesn't really matter. I'd rather that happen than us have the usual 40 mil net spend under FSG. So Yeah, I have no problem with the signings not being mega money signings if they work out to be right, if they're the correct signings for the club. But sometimes, as I said earlier, you do need it. Like, when we signed Alisson and Virgil, it was glaringly obvious that for all the goals we were scoring, we weren't solid enough defensively. And if we wanted to go and win a league title, you got to sort out the defence. And we did. The Coutinho money allowed us to go and do that. So, yeah, maybe we do see a big right winger brought in, or maybe we see a top-notch centre-back brought in, but no guarantees, I guess. And Nessie, how are we? Said, hey Craig, missed a few streams due to getting my academics back on track. How are we doing? Hope the Anfield Agenda team is doing well. All good. Yeah, all good, thank you. Looking forward to tomorrow. Day off tomorrow, and back on Sunday then. So yeah, all good, thank you, my friend. I hope life's good with you, and I hope your studies are going well. Is it true that UK football is the most violent in the world? No idea. Haven't got a clue. I feel pretty comfortable though in saying that across Europe this season we've seen more injuries. I think that's one of the reasons a lot of the national team managers were looking for that 26-man squad for the Euros, because there has seemingly been a lot of injuries across the last season. Has Slot got the pulling power for big players? I don't know, Morgansky. I don't know the answer, mate. I would hope the club would have the pulling power. But it's a fair point. Like, he certainly wouldn't have the Jurgen Klopp type pulling power or the Pep Guardiola type pulling power. But I guess he has to prove himself in that regards, right? So yeah, maybe the first few signings take a punt on the new manager and think, okay, it's Liverpool Football Club. Let's see. But I hope over time he certainly shows that he's a coach that is ready for the top level. But there's no guarantees of it. Do you think the officials will be hard on Slot next season? Here's what I think will happen with the officials. We'll get a load of promises over the summer about a load of changes and innovations and a load of reinterpretations of certain things. We'll go into the new season. A few clubs will feel the force of these changes, and then it will revert back to type and we'll all be talking about being frustrated again. That's my genuine view on it. I think the officials are a disgrace in English football. I think, in fact, I feel like refereeing's gone backwards since VAR's been brought in, because it's given them a get out of jail card. Don't blow the whistle, see if VAR pulls it back. Only for sometimes we then get shafted because you get to listen to Dermot Gallagher on a Monday going, well, VAR obviously felt that clear and obvious threshold wasn't met. Again, it's an unquantifiable thing. Clear and obvious is what? It's different things to different people. And that to me has been one of the big flaws of VAR, apart from obviously some of the blatant incorrect decision making. But it's just giving referees a get out of jail free card. If the ref gives it, they say, oh, well, VAR can't overturn it because the ref gives it. If the ref doesn't give it, they'll say VAR can't re-referee the game. Well, then what's the fucking point of them? What's the point of VAR if they're not going to step in? Like, let me ask you an honest question. Do you think any referee in Europe, if sent to the monitor for either the Jeremy Doku kick to the chest of McAllister or the Martin Odegaard handball, do you think any of those officials, if sent to a monitor, would not come back and say penalty? They would. And my feeling is that they know that and that's why they weren't sent to the monitor. It's disgusting to me that those two, particularly those two instances, didn't see at least the referee asked to go and have a look at it. But some of the really iffy, crappy red cards that have been dished out, no problems asking the ref to go and have a look at stuff. Even stuff that the referees have been looking directly at. So, to me, That really, 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 really made it very difficult to have any faith in officials this year. And that's just the Liverpool side of it. I'm sure if you speak to an Everton fan, a Forest fan, an Arsenal fan, a Spurs fan, a United fan, they'll all have their own 3, 4, 5, 6 instances. It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. And we deserve better. I missed the super chat someone said, so let me scroll up to it. Nessie's I've done. Was it DJ Brains? Let me just check. Let me just check if it was that super chat. 1 sec. I hate when I miss it. Craig, where is it? Tanya, it was Tanya, yeah. Sorry, let me go back up. So, DJ Brains firstly said, Vinny, first 3 seasons at Madrid, he was so poor. I remember a few games Ronaldo told players not to pass to him or to take him off the field. Tanya said, Mbappe has announced he's leaving. Where is he going? Madrid. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but it's Madrid. And sorry if I missed those 2 super chats as well, guys. I really do apologise. And as I said, never feel any hassle about just giving me a nudge to say, hey, Craig, you missed that there. Go and have a read of it, because it's your hard-earned money and I want to make sure that it gets read out. Craig, you remember Endo was offside during a free kick and didn't intervene with play? Yes. Mate, there's been a few. Salah being pushed into an offside position. Do you remember that one? He was pushed into the goalkeeper's view and the goal was ruled out. Tough shit, even though it was nothing to do with him. There's been loads of them. Loads of them. And do you know what really hurts me most is the changing of the exact same explanations from the likes of Dermot Gallagher or any of the referees that they speak to. One week they'll tell you one thing and the next week a very similar thing will be explained differently, and it's just not true. What really gets me though, the thing that drives me insane more than anything else, is the slow motion replays and the freeze frames when the refs go to the monitors. Because nobody will ever convince most of us that if you are going over as a referee to look at a monitor and the first thing you're met with is a still frame of what looks like the worst part of the incident, be it a handball, a tackle, whatever, that isn't there to implant an idea straight in your head. Of course it is. And also, look at the VAR regulations of how it's supposed to be implemented. Slow motion replays are not supposed to be used. Slow motion replays are there to be used for a couple of instances, and I don't remember them all. But one of them is if there's a foul right on the edge of a technical area and the referee needs to decide if the initial contact was before or after they're inside the penalty area, and they need precision. But what they're not supposed to be used for is every single goddamn foul, handball or incident. You're supposed to... Football isn't played in slow motion. Everything looks more intentful in slow motion. So why aren't the referees seeing them in full speed? It's their own protocols. And I've never heard Michael Owen ask this once on Mic'd Up. Every week or every month when he's on there speaking to Howard Webb, it's all well, we've got more decisions right than not right, crap from Howard Webb. But no, why are these being looked at in slow-mo, Howard? Football isn't played in slow-mo, Howard. Everything looks worse in slow-mo, Howard. Look at your own protocols, Howard. Nobody. And none of the media push back on it either. What's the point in having football pundits if they're not willing to call the crap out? If you're on TNT Sports or Sky or ESPN or whoever, and you're going with the status quo, and you're not speaking up for the game, then fuck you. You're being disingenuous. Like, Gary Neville talking this pony about just constantly respecting referees. Does he not remember when he played football? Does he not remember the amount of times United players surrounded referees and were up in their face? The hypocrisy of these clowns at times astounds me. And none of them seemingly have the best interest of a sport that they all profess to love. It's pathetic. And they're all becoming shit YouTubers. All the way they're trying to make content now. Bit of banter. But you're shit at it, lads. Leave it to us. Leave it to the YouTubers to do the YouTube stuff. You do the actual punditry, you know? The professional insight you're supposed to give us on the game based on your years of knowledge playing it. What a dressing room is like in certain instances. How a manager will react to it. No, let's all just chuckle and have Roy Keane come out with a one-liner that we can clip up and throw out there. It's all nonsense. All bullshit, and we're being sold down the river. I'm lucky. I grew up in Ireland where we had some of the best pundits ever. We had pundits who said what the hell was on their mind. Didn't matter. You look at some of the stuff, John Giles, Eamon Dunphy, Liam Brady. Brilliant. Actually coming out and saying what's on their mind and calling out crap if they don't agree with it. I saw a post on Instagram showing the referee announcing the whole stadium the decision made by him and MLS. So, I like to try and give balance to a conversation. To be fair to the PGMOL, to the best of my knowledge, the PGMOL and Howard Webb would like to be able to do that. Would like to be able to have the referee explain the decisions to the stadium. And I'm open to be corrected on this, but to the best of my understanding, IFAB, who are the football lawmakers, they are the ones stopping the PGMOL from implementing this into the Premier League. That's my understanding of that situation. So as much as I will criticise Howard Webb and stuff on loads of stuff, on this one, I think they would like to bring it in. But IFAB are pushing back against it at the moment, from what I understand. Have I ever been to Anfield? Yes. Many times. Now, it has been about 2.5 or 3 years, to be fair, because the channel's gotten busier and, you know, I don't like to leave the channel on a match day because I have responsibilities to my employees and people that work with me. But yes, mate, I've been to Anfield many times. In fact, the first video I think uploaded on our channel was me and Connor at Anfield, I think. Slugger, how are you, mate? Said, if these speculations about Nunez to Barca are true, we should look at Koundé as a potential centre-back, right-back option, or Frenkie de Jong for an elite midfielder swap deal. Have you seen the money Frenkie de Jong earns? Just genuinely, take a second and Google Frenkie de Jong Barca wages. I don't know the exact number, but it's over €700,000, if my memory's right. I think he's the highest paid player in La Liga. So, he's not going to come to Liverpool anytime soon because of those wage demands. And fair play to the kid. I'm not hating it. He got it. Fair play to him. If somebody was stupid enough to give him that much money, that's on them. He's a great footballer and I'd have him in a heartbeat. But those wages are the reason he's still at Barcelona. There you go. Gecko said €721,000, 154. Now you can see why Liverpool would go for Frenkie de Jong. If the new offside rule become official, Darwin will score a lot of goals. Which one is this, Felix? There has to be daylight between the forward and the defender, or offside's a difficult one because that's the one thing that I do have some sympathy with the likes of Dermot Gallagher and all for, because it is a matter-of-fact thing most of the time. We might think it's a toenail, but with offside, it is a binary thing. It is one or the other. There's no grey area, really. The only grey area can be when the ball leaves the passing player's foot. So getting that exact frame where contact is made to play the ball forward, that's the difficult part in it. But other than that, you know, in theory, it's a yes or a no thing. Would I take Bellingham for Lucho? I mean, yes, of course I would. I think anybody in the chat would. But it's a mad hypothetical. De Jong's wages this season is back pay from the COVID season when he was not paid. 720 is not his regular salary. Okay, I'm absolutely open to that. He's still not coming to Liverpool, so it doesn't really change that part of the conversation. Liverpool Prophet said, Craig, if we had 12 extra points against Spurs, Luton, City and Arsenal, we'd be champions. Yeah, I know, but also if we didn't lose to Crystal Palace and Everton, we'd probably end up going to be champions. So, you know, we can look at it loads of different ways, and I'm absolutely not trying to undermine what you're saying, but it was still in our own hands. The Crystal Palace loss to me is the one that hurts me the most, because obviously Villa went and beat Arsenal, and if we had kept winning, we would have won the league. And that stings, because that, you know, after that point, it's on us. You know, and yeah, we've been shafted loads of times this season, but we still had a chance to do it, and we just came up short. Craig, Kostas Tsimikas has Brentford interested in him. What's his value? Really, really good question, Coach Bill. What is Kostas' value? 15 to 20? Certainly feel like we can turn a profit on the 10 to 12 mil, or if I remember right, we paid. I'd say 15 with add-ons, 16 with add-ons, something around that mark. Am I not roasting with that hoodie on? No, it's not that warm here. And also remember, I don't wear anything under my hoodies, so I don't. It's one of my, I guess, one of my autism sensitivities. I don't like the feel of clothing being really tight onto me, so when I wear a hoodie, I just don't wear it underneath it, which has become a real problem in airports. Because now in airports, with the new security measures, they want you to take off any loose clothing, and I've had to start changing the way I dress to go to an airport because of that rule. Because normally I'd be there with my tits out then, because, as I said, don't wear t-shirts under my hoodies. Ricky, how are you, my man? Said, to be honest, the Atalanta defeat hurts me more. Klopp's final game, being a European final, would have been great. Dude, I'm with you. And not for me as well, in Dublin. In Dublin. Imagine Klopp's last game was winning the Europa League in my country. It would have been incredible. I tell you what though, we looked into it. I say we, Connor looked into it yesterday. The resale market for the Europa League final tickets, if anybody's still interested in going, it's not that bad. We found tickets yesterday for £265 on the resale market. Because obviously, you know, no English club in there has seen demand, I guess, fall a bit. And but yeah, so if you are looking to go, the secondary market is not as astronomical. For instance, if Liverpool had made it through to the final, I feel comfortable in saying £2,000 probably would have been nearer what you'd have to pay on the resale market. But yeah, they're affordable enough if anyone still wants to go over and attend the final. Atlanta is in the final because they played great. Yes, absolutely. They thoroughly deserve to beat us. No qualms about that whatsoever. Gasperini got his tactics spot on. His players executed it magnificently well, and it was a very, very good performance from them. I think the first half of the second leg gave us a chance maybe, but in the second half they absolutely shored it up, went back to man-to-man tight marking and stifled us. But no, they deserve their place in the final. No doubt about that. But it does sting that Klopp's last European game at Anfield was a 3-0 home defeat with no flags and banners inside the stadium. And again, I'm not saying that the no flags and banners is the reason for the 3-0 defeat, but still stings, man, doesn't it? That's his last European game at Anfield. Craig, I haven't been in for a while. May I ask who Julian Ward is? Of course, Cormac. So he's a former Liverpool sporting director who worked under Michael Edwards previously as well. And when Michael Edwards departed, Julian Ward shadowed Michael Edwards for a while before he departed and then stepped into the role, but departed the role fairly quickly. I mean, I don't remember if it's exactly this right timescale, but I think it was within 6 months, something like that. And the post from Fabrizio Romano said that Liverpool's new structure for the new era is Michael Edwards at the top of the list, who's the new CEO of football for FSG. Richard Hughes is the sporting director. Julian Ward has now come back in, who will be the technical director. And Pedro Marquez is the director of football development, and he's been brought in from Benfica. I'm just trying to get you some more context on this one. Again, this one comes from Paul Joyce, and again, it's Paul Joyce, so we can take it that it's real. Said, it is understood that Julian Ward was considering a global technical director role with the Ineos football group, but he was approached by Michael Edwards and convinced to return to Liverpool. Well played, Michael Edwards. Also, we want to again congratulate Craig Houlden, who today signed a new long-term deal with Liverpool Football Club. Always had a soft spot for Craig Houlden as a player. Real shame about the injuries that he's had, but hopefully they're behind him and it's good news for him, and fingers crossed he can make an impact. So congratulations to Craig Houlden on his new contract with the club. We also got confirmation earlier on that, one second, where's this one? Sorry, I'm just trying to go through my notes here. Yeah, this one. The end of that thing I said to you a minute ago about Pedro Marquez, Director of Football Development, Fabrizio Romano also finished off that post by saying all documents are also signed for Arne Slot to be in as the new head coach. But I would also feel like I'm doing you a disservice if I don't mention what Raj said, that apparently Arne Slot was not the preferred choice. The preferred choice was Ruben Amorim, according to this report, and that Ruben Amorim wouldn't bow down to Michael Edwards' demands or what Michael Edwards wanted to do, so they moved on to Arne Slot, who was willing to work within the structure and the framework the way it was presented to him for Michael Edwards. So take from that what you will. Does Jones need to go? So a couple of things about Curtis Jones. Homegrown player, which is never a bad thing to have around, right? So, that definitely goes in the plus column. Inconsistency and the injury, that's a concern, but also you have to take in the fact that he's a Scouser as well. So overall, I think homegrown players, I'd always lean more on the side of I don't mind them being around, because it's those non-homegrown spots that are at a premium usually inside the football club. Why is Nunez' agent pushing his transfer? Well, again, I have to say, none of us know factually that he is, but if he is the reason. Let's be honest, if there's one thing we know agents love, it's a pound note. So that will be the reason. And also, maybe under instruction from his client. Do you feel that maybe Klopp could have been more of a problem with his transfers than we're aware of? That's why Edwards and Ward left. Well, again, this piece, I want to make sure I read the right one. Sorry, I'm just trying to get you the right one. One sec. Where was that one I was reading to you earlier on? The initial one. Where is the one I had from earlier on? Sorry, where the hell is that one gone? I feel like I'm missing one of my own messages. Sorry. Because I didn't want to put words in somebody else's mouth. So I wanted to read it exactly as it was written. Here it is. So, on the falling out thing, it was written by Raj that said, there was a question that said, did Klopp and Edwards / Ward fall out over signings at any point? And the answer that came was yes. The first falling out came from Pep Lijnders mocking Edwards on one of his transfer decisions, which turned out to be spot on. So it does seem like there was, yes, maybe, I don't like to use the words falling out, but disagreements. What's going on with Trent's contract? What are Liverpool doing? So the company line is that they wanted to put in the new structure in place, Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes. They wanted to appoint a manager, and then when all those things are done, they will look to sort out the contract situations of Trent, Virgil and Salah and resolve them however they need to be resolved. I think it's a fucking disgrace that Trent's in this position. And I don't use those words lightly. I think it's an absolute shambles that your vice captain, who's entering into the prime years of his career, at a time in our club where there's potential instability because of a change of coach and stuff, that we have allowed the situation where he will have 1 year to go. And with the likes of Real Madrid looking around for fullbacks, I just think this is a problem that may not end up being a problem, but could have been managed so much better. I don't understand how he's got to this point with 1 year to go. It seems madness to me. Let's get it to 500 likes. Please do. Yes, look, my friends, if you haven't already, please do hit the like button. I also want to just quickly say, and I'm staying on until 10:30, so we've another half hour, don't worry. And just a reminder, tomorrow's my day off, first and foremost. I want to say thank you to everybody that's bought tickets to the Cardiff show. We haven't even really promoted the show. It's only been Discord and on here we've mentioned it. And we're already about, I think, 15% of sales done already, which is amazing. So if you're thinking of coming to the Cardiff show, you can get your tickets via a link at the top of the chat. There is also a QR code on the screen, and you'll find the link in the description of this stream. If you want to come and see us Belfast, you've got to go onto Ticketmaster for them. And the Liverpool show, we are putting those tickets on sale in 10 days time, so we'll give you more information on that one. But for the Cardiff show, thank you to everyone that's coming. Tickets are just £15 if you want to come along, or you can get a family ticket for 4 tickets. Doesn't even have to be 2 adults, 2 kids, can be you and 3 of your mates. So 4 tickets are priced at £50, and it's going to be in a venue that'll blow your mind. Honestly, it's an amazing place, and we're going to put on a good night for you. So if you want to come and see us in Cardiff, 15 quid. It's an all ages event. Doesn't matter if you're 10 or 90, you know, there is no bar like the other events which we've done which are over 18. So if you want to come and see us, it'd be a great night on August the 2nd. So do come along. It's a Friday night. Rachel said, fascinating to see the live feed. Some posters just want to sell everyone and everyone. I know, we're a mad old bunch, Rachel, and some of the chat often makes me laugh as well. But look, we're an eclectic bunch, and for me, as long as people are respectful in the way that we, you know, interact on these things, we don't always have to agree. Would I support the new offside rule if it's made official? So again, I need clarification on which exact one you're talking about, because I've seen so much stuff written over the past 2 months on offside that you'll need to give me the clarification on which one you're talking about. George said, Trent will 100% want to stay at the club. It just comes down to a salary increase, which in my opinion he deserves. Of course. No doubt about that. Man's coming into his prime now. Yep, no problem with a wage increase there. Also, I should say, people have been kind enough to put money into a pot that if anybody wants to come to the Cardiff or Liverpool show but can't for financial reasons, we do have money available that we can get those tickets for you. So if that is the case for you, we want you to obviously have your privacy. So if you want to email us, if you're in that situation, contact@AnfieldAgenda.com, and I will make sure that it gets sorted out for you. It will be private and confidential, of course, but we, and of course our amazing community, never want financial barriers to be a reason for somebody to miss out on something. And we all have gone through hard times. Heaven knows I've gone through a lot of them, and I've been bailed out by friends, family. Times are tough occasionally, and you know, we can all do with a good fun night out and a laugh at times. So if you're in a difficult period of your life in that regard, please do just email contact@AnfieldAgenda.com. Very kind people like Brian, JC and others have put money in case of these type of situations, and I love it. I love them. I love you guys for it. And yeah, again, it will all be private and confidential because we always make sure people get that dignity and respect. One other thing I gotta just say real quick. So yesterday I spoke about the legal letter we got sent from him, and I want to just say it's important to me that people know I don't talk shit, and if I say something, it happened and it's true. So while these things are confidential, I have, with the blessing of those involved, shown Mark, our chief moderator, the legal letter, just to show we don't make things up. We don't invent scenarios. I've shown him the legal letter. He was disgusted at what he's seen as well. And yeah, I don't talk shit. We don't lie. If we say something, we can back it up. And I just wanted to bring that up because it's important to me that if people like Mark and our moderators go to bat for us, that they know that we're not lying to them. Have you blown Mo's decline out of proportion? Me? No. I've given my reasons that why I'd sell Mo, and his form isn't really all that much of the reasoning for me, in all honesty. For me, it's about the contractual situation, it's about the reinvestment of the money, and it's about the belief that without any hesitation, his best days are behind him. I'm absolutely open and in agreement that he will still score goals, he will still assist, and if the club decide to extend, I'm right there with him, I'm behind him, and I'm 100%. I just think it's the right time, and I'm of the mindset it's better to sell a player a year too early than a year too late, and it would really break my heart to see Liverpool lose him for nothing if that was the case. But if Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes give him a new contract on terms he's happy with, have at it. You know, we'll keep celebrating Mo for as long as he's here. The decline, look, the injuries have played a part, definitely. But I have to say, one thing that's kind of left me a bit uneasy over the years with Mo has been there was always some drama and speculation about respect and wages and his agent and links and him with the PSG president having lunch. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't like and doesn't sit well with me. But as long as somebody has that Liverpool shirt on and their name isn't Adrian San Miguel, then they'll always have my support. But I will always give you my honest opinion if I think somebody should be sold or if they're not playing well. To be fair, Mo would have been on around 17-20 if not for Darwin's misses. I don't know how to process that one. What I'd like to see is no more Mo in a wide area. I like the idea of Mo coming through the centre. And if Mo sticks around for another 2 years, I think moving him centrally, or look, maybe an Arne Slot system. From what I'm still learning about Arne Slot's system, one of the things that he likes to do is, let's say we're attacking down the left-hand side of the pitch. So the right-sided wide player in this scenario, Mo, would tuck inside to become an additional number 10 and create an overload in the central area. And then we get the width support coming in from the full back down that left-hand side. So in that scenario, that would be beneficial for Mo, because the problem that I've seen this year is that when Mo's received the ball, he's almost had to work too hard to get into that action area, because he's either being pushed out wide or he's had to come deeper to look for the ball. And Mo is at his devastating best when we stick him near the penalty area and give him the opposition or the opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net, which he does rather well. Oh, he means 20 assists. Oh, I don't give a shit about assists. I'm one of these weird people that doesn't care about assists, because it's too wide-ranging a thing for me. An assist can be a 60-yard diagonal ball over the top on a sixpence to a striker who runs through, rounds the keeper and scores. Or it can be a pass to Mohamed Salah who runs past 6 players and sticks the top corner, and that's classed as an assist. You know, it's too wide-ranging for me to really care about the assists. Liverpool winning games of football. Scoreboard, that's it for me. Once we win, all good. Assists are a little bit... They can be a little bit, not misleading, because you were still contributing, but you know what I mean. We've all seen the assist credited to somebody where there wasn't much assisting going on. The magnificence of the goal scorer or the genius of the goal scorer was the real magic. Tomo, how are you, mate? Said, hope you're well, Craig. I'm actually getting quite excited now about the old band getting back together. Yes, I am as well. You know, the more of these type of things that have come out in the media, Edwards back, Ward back, Hughes coming in, yeah, it definitely feels like it's helping me anyway come to terms with losing somebody as influential and as important to us as Jurgen has been during his time at the club. So yeah, it definitely is helping me to feel a little bit less nervy. But look, we're always going to feel somewhat apprehensive when you lose somebody of the calibre of Jurgen. Sorry, I was distracted with something going on in the chat. Jordan Peter Lee Jones said 70 million Darwin, 80 million Diaz and 100 for Mo, bringing back Yoko, Wirtz and a couple of others. Well, Wirtz is not leaving Leverkusen this summer, that's confirmed. Munich are already putting plans in place to try and sign him in 2025. Actually, while we're talking about Munich for a second, did you see that they're now going back to Hansi Flick? So Florian Plettenberg and some other reporters have now said that Hansi Flick is now the prime candidate to be reinstated again as the Bayern Munich coach. It's really weird that, like, I don't get why they don't just stick with Tuchel at this point, because it feels like the next coach that they're looking to bring in is only for a year based off lots of the reports. It feels weird. Like, they looked at Nagelsmann, who they've already fired, and he turned them down. Now they're going back to Hansi Flick, who they've already fired. It's a weird situation. What do I think about Mbappe to Real Madrid? I think it's daunting for the rest of us. You know, looking at a Madrid team that'll have Rodrigo, Vinny Jr., Mbappe, Bellingham, Endrick, Tchouameni, Camavinga, probably Alphonso Davies. It's Brahim Diaz. It's fucking intimidating. Valverde. I mean, I feel like I'm never going to stop saying names here. The top class players. It's it's daunting. 100%. How do Madrid afford all these players and wages? Honest answer, Lisa, I have no idea. Because I swear that they were struggling financially 2 years ago. Now, from what I understand from speaking to Madrid fans, and when I do occasionally interact with them, they haven't spent all that much money in recent years based off what they've brought in. For instance, Manchester United were stupid enough to give them, 70 million for Casemiro. So they've got in some pretty hefty fees as well from players that they've moved on. But you've got to say, whatever we think about how they afford their wages and all, there's something to be said for how matter of fact they are. Like, we need a left winger. Let's go get the best left winger. We need a midfielder. Let's go get the next best up-and-coming young midfielder and get it done. You got to say that that's impressive, the way that they just do this and get it done. I still don't understand how they can afford it all, but other than that, it's impressive. It's going to be interesting to see how Ancelotti integrates Mbappe into that team. Yeah, definitely will, but Carlo seems a fairly unflappable type of dude, and fair to say a coach with his experience will have dealt with many different types of personalities and egos in the dressing room. So I'm sure that there will be respect there from Mbappe towards Mr. Ancelotti, and I'm sure the other way around as well. Did I see the commotion at the end of the Bayern Madrid game? Do you mean the offside decision? If that's what you're talking about, then yes, and it's an absolute disgrace. Bayern were shafted. Simple as. Shafted. There's no other way to say it. There isn't. Shafted. Simple as that. I'm not saying it was done to favour Madrid or for any reason. I'm just saying they were shafted. The protocol's not to put the flag up. We've all seen it numerous times. You're supposed to let these things play out unless it's a blatantly offside decision, and it wasn't. It was a joke, and I have every sympathy with Thomas Tuchel, with those Bayern Munich players, with their fans. I have every sympathy with them because they were shafted. And not long now for the Limelight. Yes, for those who don't know, Scott means he means the Limelight. That's the venue in Belfast that we're playing. It is 17, 20, 3 weeks today, mate. 3 weeks from today, we'll be in Belfast. Again, we've got Mr. Paddy Doyle Music coming with us, and Paddy's going to be belting out all the Liverpool hits, all your favourite songs. Then I'm going to take to the stage, we're going to talk and have some fun, and then we're going to finish with a big sing-song as well. I can't wait, honestly, buzzing for it. So if you want to join us at the Limelight, you can get your tickets on Ticketmaster. Just search Anfield Agenda on there. 3 weeks, that really has snuck up on me. 3 weeks to go. And then we've 2 shows in August. 2nd of August in Cardiff, 4th of August in Liverpool, and that's it. That's the end of the Anfield Agenda live shows after that. No more. No more. That's it. There won't be any more. I know Bellingham's story, I think, what you want to say. Well, if you think, throw it into the chat, mate, and I'll acknowledge if it's the same story. Craig, I heard Thiago is leaving. Is that true? Absolutely, yes. Him and Joel Matip's contracts are up at the end of the season. There was a report actually that said he was on 250 G's a week. And I mean a credible report, which is a lot of money for Thiago. But yes, he will be It's incredibly sad the way it worked out with Thiago, because the dude is a special footballer. Like, on his day, what can you say? You know, we just didn't have enough of them, unfortunately. But I'll always be glad Thiago Alcantara played for Liverpool. That will always make me happy. We didn't get as much of him as we would have liked, but what a player. What a player. Craig, am I off to Spain for a well-deserved holiday in the off-season? My holiday plans are September. Myself, Sabrina and Lucas are going to Lanzarote during the September international break. And in October, myself and my wife are going to Turkey for a week for the October international break. I don't take time off over the summer because, you know, it's actually quite a busy time for us with transfers and stuff like that. So our family holidays are usually planned around the international football breaks. So yeah, off to Lanzarote in September and Turkey. Actually got a great deal. I swear to God, I got a cracking deal. Me and Sabrina are going to Turkey to Sarıgörüm, which is a village that we love in Turkey. And I got it for both of us, including flights, extra legroom seats as well, and accommodation for like 890 quid total for the two of us. Like, this is the cheapest holiday I've ever gotten, and I'm over the moon about a bargain. So, yeah. Sad for the fans paying his wages. I really dislike him robbed the living. It's not his fault he was injured, mate. You know? I remember... Do you remember how upset he was? Was it the League Cup final against Chelsea? Not the recent one, the one before. Where it was the warm-up and he got injured. Like... I always knew when we signed him he wasn't going to play 50 games a season. But it's the last year, in particular, has been tough. Because he quite literally has played 5 minutes of football. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what he does at this point. Like, does he hang up the boots? Or does he go elsewhere and give it another go? Well in with the holiday. Honestly, mate, I'm delighted. Delighted with that. Like, I love a bargain, me. And, yeah, to be able to go away to Turkey, which I love, into the village we love, at a place we love, for that cheap, mate, I'm over the moon with it. Honestly, I'm buzzing. We're going to Sarıgörüm in July. Looking forward to a steak and Joker's bar. Do you know the Dolphin, JD? If you know Sarıgörüm, you know the Dolphin. We're staying in the accommodation at the Dolphin there. I think we got the week's accommodation for like €300 or €290 for a one bedroom room for the week. Can't wait. Love it. Was the Bellingham deal all agreed and Klopp was shafted last minute by the owners? No, that's not what I've been told anyway. That's not the story I'm speaking about. There is a story though about Dele Alli that I don't want to say whose name this was in case I'm saying it for the wrong person, but somebody said publicly a good while back now, that the Dele Alli stuff, apparently the rumour goes that Liverpool had an agreement and that everything was ready to go for Dele to be signed. And when he went to sign the contract, the story goes that the figure that he believed was going to be his base wage was going to be his wage if all the bonuses were met. And that disagreement, according to this tale, was the reason why he ended up at Spurs. Don't give your location away. As in where we're staying. I think I'll be alright. I'm not a celebrity. And I like people coming up and saying hello to me. I've got nothing to hide. I'm an open book. Yeah, I don't mind telling people where I'm staying. I'm not some celebrity, like, I'm just a normal dude. But I appreciate you looking out for me. Is that Harry's apartment? No, we looked to try and find them. They were all booked out. The Dolphin is a restaurant that's just at the start of the way into Sarıgörüm, and there's 4 different connected small hotels behind there. I can't remember the name of them all. There's like Sarıgörüm Inn, the Dolphin, and 2 others. But yeah, that's where we're going to be staying. Can't wait. Haven't been there in about 4 years. Harry's is the guy that's at the supermarket and all, JD, and we'll definitely be in there buying a few bits. I hope the new appointments mean that we can sign unknown gems and turn them into world beaters. That's the hope, yes. That's the hope, mate, that it works out like that and we end up with incredibly good deals. But also, I hope that that's not the only type of business we do. I do want us to act like a big club as well. What are my thoughts about Ali? You mean Ali Becker, our keeper? I felt very relieved when somebody posted the other day to say that the talk of that house being sold wasn't actually even Alisson's house. It was a house that he'd rented and moved out of 6 months ago. So that definitely calmed me down a bit, because there's enough instability going to happen and change over the summer that losing the world's best goalkeeper was not something I wanted to happen. So yeah, I hope Alisson retires at Liverpool, in all honesty. Love him. Greatest goalkeeper we've had in my lifetime. Oh, Dele Alli. I think it was incredibly brave of Dele Alli to be as open as about what happened to him as he was. I thought, to be fair, I criticised Gary Neville quite a bit. I thought Gary Neville handled the interview really well. And honestly, my admiration for Dele Alli is up here, and I hope he can get back playing, and I hope he can get on and enjoy the rest of his life, because what he went through, it was incredibly, incredibly harsh. And I think he will have helped a lot of people by being as brave as he was, speaking about what he's went through. So yeah, man, my heart went out to him, and honestly, I hope he's got a beautiful, happy, fulfilled life still to come ahead of him. And as I said, I think he will have helped a lot of people as well by showing the courage he did to speak up about what he went through. If Nunez misses 30 plus chances but scores 20 goals, would you still want him? 20 plus goals. Are we talking in the Prem? Like, I don't really give it... Talking about missed chances is a bit of a weird one, because it's how they're missed. Them. Like, let's say we win a game 6-0 and he missed 4 chances. Not that fussed. If we draw a game 1-1 and he misses 3 chances that could have won us the game, that's a different conversation. So all of these things require context for the conversation. Like, good example, this year, end of the season, I feel disappointed. I feel like we let trophies get away from us. I feel like it's been a big anticlimax to Jurgen's last few months. But other people would look at it and say, they'd be more pragmatic and say, look, Craig, if I said to you at the start of the season, you're going to finish third, you're going to win the League Cup, would you have taken it? And I probably would. I probably would, yeah. But it developed in a different way. And it developed in a way that there was a real good chance there to go and win the league. So I think context is needed in all these conversations. Do I think the reason we lost Champions League final 2016 was because Karius had concussion, or was he just shy? I don't think I can answer that question honestly, because I have to say 2 things. Do I believe that there was a possibility that he had concussion? Yes. It was a fairly hefty whack he took. Do I believe that he was shy? Also probably yes. But in this instance, my heart just went out to him. Honestly, like, what I was thinking in the moment, of course I was angry like everybody else about the Howlers, but I didn't put together the impact of that collision till Jurgen spoke about it all those months later. But at that moment, I felt for him, because you could see the pain etched on his face, and you knew his parents were in the stand, and that's a lonely place to be standing out there in the middle of a pitch knowing that those errors have impacted the outcome in a big way. And I don't know. I can't say if he had concussion or not. But I can say Sergio Ramos is a shit. And I can say that Sergio Ramos knew what he was doing when he dragged Salah to the ground in that armbar. But look, I think it's only fair of me to give Karius the benefit of the doubt and believe what Jurgen said about the concussion showing up. But overall, his level just wasn't going to be good enough, Karius. I mean, you've seen that, mentally he couldn't come back from that. Even when Klopp tried to give him pre-season games and some other, you could see he was never going to make it. Always nice to win a trophy, but the league's the one. Yep, absolutely. You start every year, and for me, if I'm going into next season, Champions League's my priority. I've always said that to you. So it'll be Champions League, Premier League. I like the League Cup more than the FA Cup, so League Cup for me, then FA Cup. That's my list of priorities. But, one of the big 2. The league's a great indicator of consistency. If you do it over 38 games, fair play. If we would have won the Champions League back in 2018, do you still think we'll sign Alisson? I have no idea, mate. I haven't got a clue. I don't know. Weirdly, I felt like the recent Champions League final loss to Real Madrid was the one we should have won. We were the better team that day in my eyes, and an unbelievable performance from Courtois, a little bit of defensive naivety from us for their goal. I felt like we were the better team that day. Do I think Arteta will be compared to Klopp if he wins the league? No, because he's got more to do. Klopp didn't just win a league. He won a European Cup, went to 2 other European Cup finals, 3 actually if you include the Europa League final. Delivered 2 League Cups. I think what's it? FA Cup, 2 FA Cup for Arteta. Club World Cup, Super Cup. So no, absolutely not. It'll be a great achievement. I mean, I'm not trying to undermine it. If Arsenal win the league with Arteta, he deserves huge praise for that. But no, it's not a comparable thing for me. Not starting Jota was a crime. Sadio, Jota, Salah was our best front 3. There's been loads of those decisions. Like, for me, when we beat Spurs 2-0, the fact that Harry Kane started that game for Spurs, I thought was a disgrace. You could see he wasn't fit. They hampered themselves by allowing Harry Kane to play in that game. Also in 2005, I thought it was a massive mistake for Rafael Benitez to start Harry Kewell in that game as well. And for Didi Hamann not to have started, you've seen the difference he made when he came on. I mean, it's all easy to quarterback this on a Monday, isn't it? But look, my friends, it is 10:30. We've done the 2 hours again. And again, thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow is my day off, so I am going to see you guys on Sunday. I'm about to record the preview for the Villa game as soon as this stream ends, so that'll be coming out tomorrow. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. I'll catch up with you on Sunday. Don't forget, Cardiff show's on sale. We'd love to see you there. Tickets you can get with the link or in the description of the stream. And of course, Belfast is on sale as well. Have a good one. It's been a lovely stream, and thank you for your time as always. And I'll catch up with you over the weekend. Wishing you nothing but love. Talk to you soon. Bye.